What's up, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Dawnwielders alike, and welcome to the last episode of Fair and Unbiased for Season 2A. This is where I discuss the nitty-gritty details of each episode of Shadowhunters that I did not cover in First Thoughts. So let's get started for the last episode of Season 2A, By the Light of Dawn. They've pulled a Severus Snape on us. I can't believe it. They pulled a Severus Snape on us with Victor. I can't believe it. I was in shock. I was sitting watching it and I was just like, this is exactly like what they tried to do to redeem Snape near the end of Harry Potter. And I'm only on Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, but I know the whole, how it went from the movies. Snape was an asshole to all these children for years in school, and some of it was completely unjustified, some of it was just unnecessary, and then they just tried to play it off at the end like, oh, he was a dick because he was in love with Lily. Harry reminds her of him, or whatever the excuse was, and it was just like, that doesn't excuse how much of an ass he was to everyone else. So they've done that with Victor now. They've gone, oh, it's okay. He was in love with a Downwelder. And it didn't fly with me. I was sitting watching it just like, okay, I wonder what Victor's excuse for this is. And as soon as he mentioned love, I was like, nope, not enough, not an excuse. I get it. It must have been very hard for him to fall in love with a Downwelder and then have to kill her. I'm not saying that wasn't difficult. I'm not saying that wasn't difficult for him. I'm not saying that it wasn't a hard time for him. I'm not saying that that doesn't take away from his struggle. But this guy tortured Raphael. He strapped him to a chair and tortured him with sunlight. That cannot be excused by saying, oh, but I was in love with a Downwelder. And you're like, but you tortured Raphael with UV light. What's that got to do with you having to kill a Downwelder? Oh, it gave me a headache. I thought that they were going to play off Victor as a villain. I didn't think that they were going to try and redeem him in some way. I was so happy when Alec wasn't taking his shit, going like, don't act like a good guy, like you're a dick to Downwelders all the time. And he was. We know that he was. I bring back, he tortured Raphael for no reason. He didn't believe him when he said that it was Camille who was the mastermind before all the trouble. And instead of, like, maybe trying to interrogate him a bit further, he strapped him to a chair and tortured him with UV light. I'm sorry, you can't excuse that away by saying, oh, I was in love with a Downwelder and then I had to kill her. Again, it must have been difficult for him. It must have been really hard. But that doesn't excuse how he's treated everyone else. It doesn't excuse how much of a dick he's been. That doesn't excuse torturing Raphael. I think it would have been better if they just tried to play Victor off as a villain, or a representative in the Shadowhunter world to represent how bad their bigoted views can reach, instead of trying to redeem him all of a sudden in the final episode after everything he's done. I will give him credit that the Yin-Fan addiction with Isabel probably wasn't his fault in the end. I would believe that he gave it to her so that she could reach the Iron Sisters and fulfill the mission. I will admit that I don't think that he purposely got her addicted to drugs. I feel like Isabel got addicted on her own. That doesn't make me happy with the addiction plot at all, but I will give Victor credit that I don't think that was entirely his fault. He shouldn't have given it to her in the first place, but she was the one who furthered the addiction herself. He didn't supply it continuously like Raphael decided to do in the end. If you want to see my thoughts on that, I think it's 2 episodes behind this one, where I discuss my thoughts on Rizzy, which was, I'm not getting it again. But my point is, Victor cannot be redeemed for all his shitty actions just for saying, oh, I was in love with a Downwelder. Love can make you do shitty things, sure, but you can't use that as an excuse for your shitty behaviour. You have to acknowledge your behaviour is shitty. You have to acknowledge that what you've done is shitty. You have to try and make a change from your shitty behaviour, not just go, oh, but I was in love, I'm tortured, I have a tortured love story, I have an excuse. No, you don't. Torturing a Downwelder cannot be excused away by saying, oh, but I was in love and I had to kill her. I'm sorry, no, and I'm really glad Alec didn't take that shit from him. Alec was a bit like, at the story, but thankfully he wasn't like, oh, you poor baby, you're not a bad guy anymore, because that just would have killed me. It would have killed me inside if they had done that. I thought it was a really cute addition that Madsy decided not to harm Alec in the end. We saw her regard the crowd in front of her, and she just opened up the elevator and decided to swipe Alec into it before she removed all the oxygen. And I think it's a very important thing to acknowledge from the episode, because it shows how lonely some of the Downworlders can feel, and simply feeling accepted by particular people can make them change their actions towards them. In Dust and Shadows, we saw Alec talking to Madsy and telling her that the gills on her neck actually looked really cool, and she's probably never encountered that before. She's very young. She's been raised by her nana. She probably hasn't had much experience with the outside world. And I wouldn't be surprised if her nana built up the outside world to be big and scary, not accepting of warlocks, and that's why she had to do this thing where she would impregnate women by demons to create more of them, because the outside world was so scary and no one would be accepting of them. So Alec accepting her was something she'd never encountered before. And that's why she chose not to kill him. Now this is just my interpretation, we must remember, but the way I saw it is that she chose not to kill him because this was one of the very few people who have accepted her in her life and shown kindness towards her in her life. She seems like she was sheltered a lot by her nana throughout the years. So seeing someone who was so nice, especially about her warlock mark and her gills, was something that she wasn't just going to kill off for no reason. We see this again when she encounters Magnus. Magnus shows kindness towards her. He doesn't show aggression. He doesn't show fear like the other shadow hunters did because of how Valentine is using her. He approached her calmly. He told her, "I'm like you," and he showed her his warlock mark, and she recognized, God, he is like me. And she listened to him when he explained to her what she was doing was wrong. And I feel like she listened to Magnus because Magnus was like her. Valentine isn't like her. Valentine is a shadow hunter, whereas Madsy would probably be more likely to listen to someone who is like her and accepts her and is kind to her. It's the same way that Valentine manipulated her. He pretended that he was accepting her. He pretended that he loved her. He pretended that he was being kind to her. It's how you manipulate children. You show them kindness. And manipulating children in the first place is pretty fucked up, especially for Valentine. But it was so nice to see her actually finding people who accept her and deciding not to kill Alec, because, that would have been a whole other thing. What I'm trying to say here is that Alec and Magnus should just adopt Madsy. Malec adopt Madsy 2K17. New hashtag for this episode, guys. Go with it. Clary placed a rune on the soul sword. I remember saying in the last episode that Clary basically went to the Institute and didn't do anything, which by and large she didn't. But I also remembered once I posted that episode that she did put a rune on the soul sword. She saw a rune and created it and drew on the soul sword. We don't know exactly what that does yet. We don't know if it stops the power of the soul sword or if it does something else, because it wasn't really explained. She just drew it and then it was gone again, and whoever stole it, stole it. And there was no real explanation to what the rune does to the sword. I like to think that it deactivates the powers of the sword. As I said last episode, I don't want to see the Angel Blood plot travelling into Season 2B. I wanted to stop here because it's ridiculous. Again, if you want to see my thoughts on that, or if you just want to listen to me rant, go to the other episodes. There's plenty of that. And if I'm right about who it is that has stolen the soul sword, it has to have been deactivated, because if they took the sword, they would have destroyed it, whoever they are. Give you a wee tidbit there if you don't know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure he would have destroyed it and himself if he had picked it up, if it hadn't been deactivated by Clary's rune. So I'm assuming that Clary's rune deactivates the powers of the soul sword. But we don't know yet. As I say, it hasn't been explained, so it'll be interesting to see what that is in Season 2B. I'm placing my bets now that she just deactivated it, and I'll also place my bets in my head on who the person who stole the sword is. Again, I don't want to say, in case people haven't read the books, I don't want to be a spoiler person, because there's enough of those on YouTube comments. I got Attack on Titan ruined for me because of that, so let's just say, don't read the comments on videos if you don't know what's going to happen in the future of the series or whatever it is that you're reading or enjoying right now, because you'll ruin everything. And I don't want to be one of those people, so I'm not going to say who the person at the end might be. I might even be wrong, but I don't want to be right and then ruin it for everyone, so I'm just going to... I think it's pretty obvious from this point on that there's going to be tension in the Downworld. Meliorn did warn Luke that if this went wrong, he would kill him or didn't trust him anymore. I can't remember what it was, but he was very adamant about the fact that if things went wrong with the Soul Sword trip, then all bets were off. In the fairies' regards anyway, all bets would be off. And I think this is how the Seelie Queen is going to get introduced. The Seelie Queen is the queen of the fairies, and she's a very, I wouldn't say important character for the book. She pops up here and there. I wouldn't exactly say she's a game changer or anything. That's why I'm revealing her identity now, because I don't think she's particularly a game changer, but she's a very interesting character to get introduced. And Todd has been kind of hinting at her involvement in the season, especially season 2B. So I definitely think this is how the Seelie Queen's going to get introduced, because so many warriors died, so many Dawnwielders died because of this stupid soul sword trip. So I definitely think there's going to be tension in the Darnworld now that this has happened. They're probably going to ride against the Shadowhunters, because it's the Shadowhunters' fault that all these Darnwielders died. And Darnwielders are very loyal to one another, in their groups anyway. If it really came down to it, all of the groups would unite. We saw that when the Soul Sword thing happened in the first place. But now that 20 to 30 Darnwielders died in the Institute because of the Soul Sword, because of Clary Frey, daughter of Valentine, there's definitely going to be some trouble, and it'll be interesting to see how they're deciding to go on with that. I want to see how they're going to portray that. And it has been said, I mentioned this in my review for Guilty Blood, that it was mentioned that they will be introducing Darnwelder registration in Season 2B, so that could be a result of how the Darnwelders are reacting in relation to the Soul Sword killing all those people. So it'll definitely be interesting to see, because that will reflect real world things, like people of different ethnicities having to register now, people of different sexualities having to register now, so that the government will know how many there are. Kind of like a census, but some of the reasons is, why do you need to know? Why do you want me to register myself? So it'll be interesting to see that in the Shadow World, because as I say, it's reflective of real world things that are happening right now. And it's a very important topic to touch on, because as I've said before, the Darnwelders represent minorities, and they've done a good job kind of representing bias and bigotry and all that, and homophobia and all that kind of thing so far. So it'll be interesting to see how they go with this registration plot. And if it happens at all, it might have just been an idea that they've thrown out, but I hope they do go with it, because there's something about it that I think would be very fascinating to see pursued further. Simon can walk in sunlight now. That is called being a daylighter. He becomes a daylighter in City of Glass. Oh, I'm not going to say. I don't know which book he becomes a daylighter in. But he becomes a daylighter in direct relation, I think, to drinking Jesus' blood. So I think that drinking Jesus' blood in By the Light of the Dawn is the catalyst that caused Simon to now be able to stand in sunlight, and good for him, you know. I wouldn't want to sit and spend my life in the dark, so it is nice that he is now able to go outside and enjoy himself. It did make the ending a bit kind of upsetting when he was like spinning around with Clary and being all la-di-da, and like you're like, oh, climbing, go away, stop it, you're gross. My opinion, I don't ship it, I'm sorry, I can't, it's gross. I don't even ship Clace that much, really. So yeah, it's nice to see that Simon can now go out in sunlight, because who wants to spend their life in the dark? And come on, like, Simon's nice enough, so he can be the daylighter. If there was anyone I wanted to be a daylighter, it would be Simon. So good for you, Simon. You can now go out in sunlight. I know you're probably going to find it hard to adjust the fact that it was because you drank Jesus' blood, but I'm sure it's worth it to be able to go out in sunlight. You should be thanking Jace for that almost prank? Should we call it a prank? I'm not sure what to call it. You should just thank Jace, because now you can go out in sunlight because of his blood. So yay, Sam can go out in sunlight now, good for him. He's still a vampire, but he can stay out in daylight now, so that makes it a bit easier for him. Finally, the big reveal, the thing that everyone wanted to know, the thing that no one really knew the truth of, the thing that people were so curious about. It was so intricately hidden and written that nobody knew what the real outcome was. The thing that had been on everyone's mind from the very start, ever since the big reveal last season. Clary and Jace aren't related. Coming from the perspective of a book reader, for us it was just a matter of time of, okay, when are they gonna reveal this? Like, when are they gonna, like, you know, get on with it? Because, believe it or not, Clary and Jace believed they were siblings for 2 extra books after the first one. City of Ashes and most of City of Glass, Clary and Jace thought they were related. Did it stop them kissing? No. Did it stop them being gross? No. Did it stop them being romantic with one another? No. It was awful, and even having it for this one season was very awkward. Just like, no, you think you're related, stop with this feelings crap. I get it would be hard to adjust to, but I wouldn't want to touch her after that. But yeah, Jace now knows that Clary and him are not related. It's now turning into an issue of whether he's going to tell her or not. Is this going to turn into like that plot in Friends where Ross wouldn't tell Rachel they were married? Because that's just, I hope they don't go with that. Just get it along, tell her I don't want any more of this grossness, I don't want more any of this stuff, because if she still believes that he's her brother and they do romantic things in season 2B, I can't. What have I ever done to you guys? I don't want to suffer because of this. Please, just tell Clary in season 2B. I don't care if she's dating Simon. Just tell her I don't want to see any more incest romance. Am I a bad person for not wanting to see any more incest romance? Am I weird? Am I the only one who doesn't want to see any more incest romance? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who don't. So please tell Clary that she's related to Jace, because if they don't, I feel like it's going to turn into a whole thing where Jace doesn't tell her and then all these feelings happen and they go to the Sealy court and all that shit from the book happens, and I'm just like, I don't want this. I didn't sign up for this. I don't want this. Just give me Malec. Just give me all the Malec and just stop with the incest romance. I can't cope with it. I can't. I had to endure enough of it in season 2A. Now that Jace knows they're not related, just stop and tell Clary. Don't turn it into a thing where it's just like, but she's dating Simon. She'll never love me. No, I can't tell her. Jace, let me level with you here. Just tell her. The rest of us are suffering here. I can't. No, I don't want any more incest romance. So please, Todd, I'm begging you. Right? Jace telling Clary they can be romancing Nikki together and it can be fine. No one believes they're related anymore. No, they won't think that they're being gross or weird. It'll all be done and they can have their relationship and they can be gross and they can do what they want and it won't be incest anymore or believed incest. Just let it go. Tell them. The plot is over. The incest plot is done with. Just don't make Jace not tell her, please. Because I'll turn into another whole thing and I can't deal with that. So just... And it would be even worse if he didn't tell her and then Simon dumps Clary or whatever's going to happen with them and then Clary goes back to Jace like, and it's going to be like, oh, we're not related. And then they get together and like, wow, rebound much. Jace will become the rebound for the rebound. That is just reboundception going on right there, and it's hurting my brain to think about. So let's just stop there. Let's just say, stop the incest romance. Just tell Clary, and I'll be done. And you Clace people can have your ship back and can set sail, and and everyone else who's been suffering the incest romance can relax. Finally, suffer through the Clace stuff. So just do it. It'll be fine. Just do it. Make your Clace dream a reality. So that's it for this week, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Downworlders alike. As I mentioned in First Thoughts, I am going to be doing a podcast with my friend Neve where we talk about the books. We are not going to be kind to the books. We're actually going to talk about the problems with the books. We're going to call the podcast Too Much Information, and we're going to run it over the time where Shadowhunters is on hiatus. Hopefully you guys will be interested in watching it. It won't be up next week, but it'll hopefully be up the week after. So please do keep an eye out for it. My friend Neve is lovely, and if you want to check her out before we start the podcast, I'll leave a wee link to her channel at the end, on the end screen. So do check her out. She does horror narrations and she's very good. So me and her will be doing a podcast about the Mortal Instruments. It'll be called Too Much Information. We will be very cruel to the books, but we're open to debate with anyone as long as you're okay with debating different opinions and don't get easily offended. So do check it out if you want to. If it sounds like the kind of thing you'd be interested in, please do give us a watch and debate us. We love debating or talking or agreeing or whatever's going to come of it. So that's it for this week, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Downworlders alike, and that's it until June 5th with Fair and Unbiased. So I'll see you in the podcast, hopefully, and if not, I'll see you with First Thoughts, probably on June 6th. So see you then, Shadowhunters, Angels, and Downworlders alike, and remember, don't enjoy incest romance. It's incestuous. Can't really get more reasons than that. I would also like to leave a quick note to thank everyone who's commented and liked on my videos these past few weeks. I've grown a lot more than I have when I did this series for season 1. Not a great deal, but it's a big deal to me. I get like 7 likes a video, and I used to get no likes a video, and I get quite a few comments of people agreeing or talking with me, and I love that. I love interacting with you guys, and I love talking to you guys, and I love hearing what you guys think. So Thank you so much for liking and supporting me. I hope to see more of that. I hope to talk to more of you, and I can't wait to grow even more, hopefully. So thank you so much to everyone for supporting me.